Now we're ready. Yep.
Okay, I will call.
The flag. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to call for a moment of silence. We have a young man passed away. District mission statements. The mission of the Exeter West Virginia School District is to empower students, reach open forum, free assignment for individual, 50 minutes, maximum time allowed. Chairperson of the school district. Litigation or negotiations as restricted by the Open Meetings Act. Full committee action, favorite topic, issues that are not reflected. Fun part, junior hires. Oh, yes, are there any? Would anyone like to make a comment?
Can I get my presentation back?
1 minute.
Okay, absolutely. So I am Dr. Mary Slattery, the principal of the junior high school, and it's been a long time since I got a chance to brag about how awesome the junior high is. We have a couple of students. We have our first band concert starting back up. And so we have a couple of 7th graders who came to talk a little bit about the 3D printing project. So they're going to come talk. They have to go first because they got to get right over and perform for the band concert. Pass them around.
My name's Andy.
We were in Miss Borges and Miss Winter's 3D printing classes. And what do we do?
We made 3D printed hands that help disabled people.
They're prosthetics.
Their prosthetics that allow people to.
So we're working with Enable, a global community of 3D printing experts that are organizations around the world to help the people in need. And we spent time 3D printing parts, right? And assembling them. Remember who we're working with? And Mr. He's a friend of Dr. Slattery's, and he wants to help me with me about 70. What if they didn't have no artists at all? And they're inexpensive because they're made of plastic and dental fans and
Great opportunity.
they'll work on it for you. Put it in your order. We had 3 classes, meeting 1 each, twice this year. So split was the supported regular schedule. The library one. Because I had this larger printer and she was using her printer downstairs for these. They got triple CAD programming exposure. Right? Learned a lot. What do we use? What program? CAD?
What's going on with that?
And we use Cura Slice. That's a whole other one too. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I like the different sizes here.
And what about one other color? We have boring and colors in gray. What are the other colors?
People put a lot of fun designs on them, so the kids can like show off their cool things.
Thank you, guys. They were talking about the 3D printed hands that they made. This was a project that Ms. Winter and I have been talking about for a little while. A friend of mine is involved in the Enable program, and I thought it'd be kind of a cool thing. And she wrote a grant, and we got the setup over there and the printer, and it locks, and it's kind of cool. So rather than having 25 kids in there, she and Mrs. Borges, the technology teacher, split it, and she would work on some of the other 3D printers where the kids had to design their own bookmark, and there were different parameters for it. So they had different designs that they had to make, and then they came up here and learned a different type of 3D printing in order to put these things together. And actually, Mr. He's working with Nick, senior project advisor, and we'll be here tomorrow, senior project stuff. But he's gotten really involved in being a mentor for Nick.
It was a Zoom setting.
So it's really great.
I have burned my background.
Already started and are really excited and knowledgeable about 3D printing and stuff. So we're trying to get it connected all the way up with high school programs as well. Going the wrong way. Okay, there we go. Hopefully you got a form that you filled out, and Ms. Green and her students are going to come and deliver a little classroom service for you. A program that they created to provide room service to the teachers during the day. They would come up and you could order something from the class to get delivered once a day. You could get it once a week, a special treat. So they've done some fun stuff. You introduce yourself. This is Aiden. Say hi to everybody. And do you say hi, Rachel? Can you wave?
Hey. Hello, everybody.
What the ignore zone does is it should keep it from focusing on,
So it says it's free.
which is a kind of nice feature, because I don't want to be on camera. And on the camera controls, you can do camera lock and zoom where you manually take control of the camera.
So in that picture,
And
we sent her off to one of the girls who actually please. The others did not. So we said, all right, we need to go. We show them where it is. So we came behind us, but we followed behind and with that picture, has nothing to do with navigating the book. It's brought a lot of joy to them. So they take the order, they will
don't see the second camera back here. I don't know.
they bring out the bag, they know how to go in the classroom, and then they change when they need to, and it's just been really great. Yeah, even that one house is more, a lot more than the second.
Thank you guys for coming. Good job. They've done a nice job of, they're doing a little supply and demand, what they need to order some more of, a lot of different skills that they've been working on in there. So it's like, it was kind of fun to get them to come up here as well. And I have one more student speaker that I want to take a moment to talk to you a little bit about the Junior High School Best Buddies program. She's clearly a great Best Buddy. She's the president of the Best Buddies program at the junior high. You ready, Miss Amanda?
Hello, I'm Amanda, and I am the president of the Junior High Best Buddies chapter. And the Junior High Best Buddies chapter is a generally new chapter for the last couple of years. But even though we're starting off new, we've had some great activities. For example, we started off last year by doing our Pathway to Inclusion rock quiz. We got together with our senior high chapter and we just kicked rocks with all of our buddies. And it was a lot of fun just to sit there and chat and make everyone really feel included. We've also done a few different events that have been with the senior high chapter and not just the junior high. For example, we made tie-dye t-shirts that was made with vinyl for our Best Buddies chapters. We've also had a combined St. Patrick's Day party where we did a few different events. We brought in food and we just got together and really made sure everybody feels included in everything we do. I have had so much fun personally with Best Buddies this last year, and I'm super excited for what the senior high will also bring. But for the junior high chapter, we've already had a couple of parties, such as our St. Patrick's Day party, which was a combined party with the senior high. But we also just did our junior high party, which was the Christmas party, and we did a little craft of making rice snowmen actually. And then each kid got to make their own and bring it home. So it's really personalized so everybody could feel included and feel like they could do whatever they want. And that's really what our chapter strives for, to make sure everybody feels included and in a safe environment. I personally love Best Buddies. It has really put me in a great place and I love it so much. Not only that, But we've also gone to the Best Buddies Walk this year with the junior and senior high chapter. And that was fun just to get to see other chapters and talk to different people about what they do. And it was just fun all around. And as an upcoming event, next week, actually on Friday, we are doing our first Best Buddies dance. And it's really a luau friendship dance. And we're gonna have a fight as well as the dance. So our buddies can be there and feel safe and not overwhelmed, because that's really what our chapter strives to do.
Great job. I wanted to make sure that kids had a chance to talk and get through some things. And I'm going to have Mrs. Hubertus introduce herself and why she's here with us tonight.
So I'm Ela Curriculum. I work at the junior high as a French teacher. I'm also the world language department chair for the junior senior high. And this year, I am very thankful to Jim and to Mary especially for allowing me to do the principal residency network with the Center for Leadership and Educational Equity. So I have been, Mary is my mentor, Dr. Sarah is my mentor, and she has been absolutely fantastic. I'm learning so much. My goal is in another year to graduate from the program and become a principal or an assistant principal in some way, shape, or form in the state of Rhode Island. So I've loved my program. Jim has given me so many opportunities, Marie, Mary, to grow and experience different things. And I just wanted to say that this community of educators, we really support each other, and it's such a collegial atmosphere. My coworkers who are working with me on projects through my residency do so joyfully, which might be surprising, but it's been a great experience, and we have a really special community here.
And luckily for me, she's taking the 2-year plans, like another year for helping out and doing some stuff with me. So we're going to co-present some of the things that are going on. So just big picture, one of the things that we tried to do was take advantage of kind of the fact that during the hybrid, bizarre year that last year was with the schedule, we really had an opportunity to sit down and dissect what our schedule looked like and what things we really needed to try to change and focus on. And I think we've done minor adjustments to schedules for the 12 years that I've been here, but I think this one is a really nice one. We were able to get math and ELA for 1 hour every day for the entire year. And that's been a huge, I think it's just been a big benefit for the kids, for the teachers, for the programs. One nice thing for those of you who have kids who came here with a rotation, there isn't a rotation this year, so they know their schedule pretty well. The only thing that changes is science and social studies, and that's a
So that's kind
pretty
of nice.
easy
You can
thing.
control your
They
camera
have
and
their
see
specials
if
every day, but we also have an intervention,
interfering with the view of the slide.
which has been great. And we've done some enrichment, which I'm going to let Amy talk about the enrichment program a little bit. Another thing that we were able to work in that had a huge impact on student success at the junior high is teacher-led work groups. And so we've done a couple of different things, trying to get a work group in here and having somebody work on that. But having the science and social studies teachers really take this on, being one of the core teachers, they meet every day with all the other teachers. So they're able to really find out what these kids are missing, what's the priority work to focus on. And our failure rates have gone way down with this time being given every day for the kids to work on it. And we've been able to incentivize. With the 8th graders, we know pretty well which kids are going to struggle for a large part of the year. With the 7th graders, we're not always as sure. And so it's a lot more fluid in 7th grade for kids to move in and out of the workroom. And sometimes that's all the incentive they need, is to know that if I keep up with my grades, I'm going to be able to get into this other elective or this other class. And we've actually really tried to work with the kids on, we had a student who was doing better about halfway through the year. And so he had missed a couple of his specials. And the teacher said, I'd really like him to get into some of his specials and spend some time, like, what do you think you want to do? And you able to get into half of Spanish and half of French and get an option so that he knew what he wanted to pick. So it's been a nice thing, and it's a good motivator for kids, and he's doing really well. And some kids need that extra time during the school day to give them that opportunity to get some work done. You want to talk a little bit about the enrichment?
Yeah, I think also that this whole schedule allowed us to support kids who were on COVID quarantine or at the beginning of the year, give them some extra time when they came back into school to get things squared away. So our enrichment is all focused around project-based learning with a lot of STEM projects, and we've had a great time doing it. So on the right, you see in Ms. Bollier's class, they are building the tallest structures that they can with the materials that they are given. So they had to design that first. They had to provide a written design that they drew with a label diagram and a write-up of how they were going to create this structure. When that was approved, they were given the materials to go ahead and build what they have there. In the center, this student is building a catapult, again, out of a certain amount of materials that they're allowed to look at but not touch. They need to diagram what they're going to do, what their ideas are with labels, and write out what they're going to do. And then we had, in the catapult one, we had different projectiles that they then had to do some experimentation with which one would go further and why. We had some, we weighed each projectile. We talked about what they were made out of. And then of course we had a contest to see who's went farthest, and that was fun. And then on the far side, this came out of a medieval castle unit STEM project, but we have a bunny in the building, and the bunny would love a castle, and they're actually bunny castles that you can buy online, but they're all plain cardboard. They can't have any tape. They can't have any toxic materials at all. So the students were given the challenge to create bunny castles for Boo, who you see there, Boo the bunny. And now he is in the process of picking his favorite. So they are up in his room where he lives, and the students in that classroom are actually keeping track of which one he goes to most frequently, and we'll have a winner soon. So that's been the project-based learning. And the teachers that do it are not math and science teachers. We are language teachers, we are art teachers, but it has been so fun for us to really bring different activities into our classrooms. We've coordinated so that we all do different things, so that when the kids rotate through us, they get different projects. And it's been a great experience, I think. We just had Teacher Appreciation Week, and one of the activities that our enrichment students did was to create door decorations for all of our teachers. It was pretty interesting to see how much they knew about the teachers that they picked. For instance, Mr. Wilson, they know that he is a skier, they know that he is a jet surfer, they know that he likes to go to Cumberland Farm to buy candy. And every teacher has made connections like that with our students. Like every door you go up to, you'll see different personal things, which is wonderful. It means that we're really building a great culture with our kids. One thing I just want to point out before we talk about data is this right here on the side is part of an EWG junior high logo contest that we ran. We have a very active parent on our school improvement team, Mrs. Melendez, and she offered to create a school store for us where students and parents could go and buy sweatshirts and t-shirts and hats and all that. And then we talked about, and actually it was her idea. She said, I wonder if we have a junior high, could we have a junior high logo or something that we created that goes on our things to buy. And so there are a few logos up there.
And throughout our presentation, you'll see a few more logos. The art teacher coordinated that, and we put all the logos up in our main lobby, and we had students vote on which was their favorite logo and which one they would want to wear on a sweatshirt or t-shirt. And the top 3 are in the online store right now, and you can go ahead and purchase them. So the one that was on our original slide, let me just go back there because that's important, was the winner, Tyler Medeiros. This image right here, he created for us. It's a digital project, art project that they did, an 8th grader, and kids can go and buy his design. He can get his design on a sweatshirt. So it was really fun for the kids. They wanted to know, this is another design right here. It was a great project for them. So data. So we've been looking at data. My program is very focused on data, so that has been something that I have been trying to spearhead, and I've worked with our math team on their action plan, and they've done an amazing job. Their goal was to increase student scores on RICAS. Now, we won't have RICAS back until November, but the RICAS warm-ups that they've been doing throughout the year, we've been tracking and looking, we did 3 cycles of looking at student data. And every cycle we looked at how the students scored and then talked about what we could do to tweak our action plan. Made some tweaks, went through another cycle, and again made some tweaks, and we've seen larger growth in our special ed population, which is what we wanted to see. Growth in our regular ed population, but larger growth in our special ed population in terms of achievement on those RICAS warm-up. It's just a formative assessment that they do every week. So it's not even a grade that goes in the grade book, but it's the teachers using these assessments to understand where they might need to change their instruction, potentially so for instance, we learned that multiple choice questions, students struggled with eliminating answers. So we instructed on how to eliminate answers and did that for a few weeks. It's been an interesting learning process. We learned how to look at data, how to analyze data, and I hope, and today actually they presented to our faculty on the success of their project. So I hope our faculty will be inspired to continue to work on different projects. We are implementing this year a new ELA curriculum, Wit and Wisdom. It's kept our ELA team on its toes. The focus on writing is using quotes to support their ideas, using multiple texts. Also, they're using historically based sources, lots of informational text as well.
There's been a variety of sources for them to use. So while they have a primary book, they also have supplemental readings that go along with it, getting some primary sources in. And that mimics a lot of what the state testing and other testing looks at, is how to get information out of multiple sources, how to compare those sources, how to find out if your data is reliable, and being able to go through some of that. So we've done a lot on really upping the writing program and learning a lot about that through the ELA, the new ELA curriculum that's come out. In math, the teachers have been working through the same project with Marie and with Bride through the ed reports to determine which math curriculum they're going to be piloting next year. So they've spent a lot of time looking through that. 2 out of the 3 math teachers are on the committee that are reviewing this, and all of the math teachers meet to review what's working with the data, with the different programs. They've piloted a couple of units from each of them, trying to see which one, you know, is most comfortable for them. They're very much, I'd say it's a younger math team now, and they're very eager to do a lot of hands-on, getting the kids into the learning, and they want to make sure that whatever program we get will support the kids' inquiry in math and be able to get, be very interactive that way. So they've spent a lot of time with that part of it.
So one thing that you may already know that we offer full year world language classes at the junior high, and our 7th graders are just selecting right now which full year class they would like to take next year. So we were offering French and Spanish, and one of the things that's interesting is that the high school new plans at RIDE. So RIDE is putting out a new high school basic education plan. They're taking comments on it right now, but a 2-year language requirement may go in as part of that update to the education plan. If they take language in the junior high, a full year of language, they most likely will be able to move up to level 2 in the senior high, and that positions them to either take more language. This year we have offered EP in both French and Spanish, or to take enough language that they need to get into a college, or to take however much language they want, but then opens up their schedule to take other things as well. So it's a great idea for them to start language in the junior high if they can, if they have the interest. Then we have done some, we're actually testing in 2 weeks, some native speakers of language. We're going to try to move them into an appropriate level in the high school. We're going to use a standardized, national standardized test that we use to test the seal of biliteracy. We have a few students who have just excelled in their language study, who are not native speakers, but have been recommended by their teacher, and hoping to get maybe some even level 3s up into the high school, which I think is great. We don't want, we want as much as possible to meet the students where they are. We also have the full year art course, and you can see all the Ms. Bollier hung a bunch of art today for you to take a look at. Most of these examples are from the 8th grade class, the full year classes. And they are actually having a gallery exhibition all month at the URI Function Province campus. Ms. Bollier has done a fabulous job with our art program. She has students coming in to work on art even during lunch, after school. It's really a great program and well-rounded.
So kids can be more advanced, which helps out with the CTE pathways at the high school too, because they can start in an advanced art class.
And we have a visual arts pathway, which is great.
So we all know how hard COVID has been and how hard junior high is with or without COVID. So, junior high is always a place where kids are trying to find themselves and looking at some SEL or social emotional learning. And so we've done a lot of different things this year working on the social emotional learning, trying to help kids out. We have weekly Team 360 meetings, and the idea of a Team 360 is that we're looking at kids in all directions. So it's the core teachers working together with some of the support specialists, as well as getting input from the specialists in different classes where if they're available to come to the meeting, they can come, or they all have access to the notes to be able to say, I might see something a little differently in my class, but trying to get a well-rounded picture of where the kids are at and what kinds of supports we can help provide them with. Ms. Lyman is a school psychologist who has added some additional time with us this year, which has been a great benefit because we were able to get her to really focus on the 7th grade. She had also worked at Metcalf, so she has a really good incoming relationship with the incoming 7th graders, and it kind of helps her to transition some of them to our other support staff at the junior high, and so that kind of helps out. We did an SOS training, so it's on suicide prevention, and so all of the teachers were initially trained. They did a workshop with the students, and the students did an individual screener, and then we were able to meet with the students who may have had some concerns, or any child who requested speaking to someone. We actually had a couple kids who wanted to speak to someone on behalf of a friend. And it was a great way for us to connect with some other kids and just be able to provide them with some supports. We're seeing a lot of kids with high anxiety who are high performing students who in the classroom setting on their own might not report. The teachers might not notice because they're kind of getting everything done and doing a great job, but when they get to sit back and reflect, they can say that it's very difficult and stressful for them. So trying to provide those supports for the students that aren't just struggling visibly, but that might be holding some of that in. So being able to do some of the self-administering, the screeners for the kids to be able to say, I'd like to talk to somebody, and then being able to, we have all of our support staff go into every health class in the 7th and the 8th grade and to introduce themselves and just be able to say, if you need somebody to talk to, here we are, and this is where we are. And so kind of giving them a little bit of an opportunity to talk to someone. As we mentioned at the beginning, we did have a student who passed away unexpectedly during February break, and our support staff came together in a really great way to be able to provide some grief support for the students, and it's been an ongoing process because we all grieve. His twin sister is still at the junior high, and his younger brother is at Metcalf coming up here. So, trying to be really aware of how to support those students and all the students, it sometimes brings up something that's unexpected. So it was a nice way also to be able to, that all kind of happened around the same time in a good way, to be able to get kids to kind of say, really making our support staff visible so that they have someone to know that they can connect with.
Extracurricular activities.
Finally.
I know, it's been a joy this year. We had our first dance, which we'll show you in a minute. I can't talk about it. We are having field trips, we have sports, we have drama, we have after-school clubs. The kids are loving it. It's really fantastic. We have a gardening club that meets every Wednesday. Let's see, we had the dance was co-hosted, and we have student council. We've had spirit days, we've had spirit weeks, and here's our first dance. Almost the entire student body came. It was just like a dance had been pre-COVID. They had a great time. Look at this guy in his flamingo.
Full-on flamingo suit.
I mean, it was fantastic. We have another dance planned for Best Buddies, which is wonderful. Student council has some things planned. Yearbook has some things planned for the end of the year. So kids are getting involved again and are having those social and different interactions, non-academic interactions that are so important for them.
One of the great things we were able to relearn about this community this year through difficult times is how everybody steps up, and what a great community we have, and what a blessing this community is. The week before the student passed away, we had another family who had a child in the 8th grade had to have brain surgery, and within a 2-day period, they had reached and exceeded the support the mother needed in order to be able to spend time in Boston and help him as he recovers. And he's just returned to school, and it's been a big year, but there's been a lot of great things happening, and that the community's come together. The Best Buddies dance, we have a parent who is a professional photographer who has volunteered to come to the dance and do pictures for the kids. And rather than charge us, she is donating a portion of it to the Best Buddies organization in honor of the EWG chapter. So it's a great community. I don't need to remind you of that, but sometimes it's nice to be reminded of that. So looking ahead.
Yep, so talking about data before, we are continuing, we plan to continue that data review, and just to make looking at student data and then changing our instruction based on what we see part of our everyday lives. We're going to pilot the new math curriculum next year. We've just tweaked our schedule for the next year, so we're going to hold those 2 60-minute blocks of ELA and math, which really have helped the kids, benefited the kids, just shifted around some timing of different things. And we are coordinating with the senior high to pull down some CTE enrichment opportunities so that our 8th graders see get a taste of what they can continue into in the senior high school, which we think will be really important to keep them here and keep them going on a track.
Before COVID, we had the Amgen program with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. And I had worked a lot with our Big Brothers, Big Sisters coordinator to try to figure out how to get it to work. Amgen, for obvious reasons, wasn't allowing anyone into the facility. There wasn't a lot that we could do. We tried a couple of things, but we're going to get that back in play next year. We're thinking of doing a couple of Meet the Scientist days where Amgen will come here and then start working back to the mentorship program. We'll be able to do the Beyond School Walls where students will be able to go to Amgen again, get mentors. And Stacey Haynes-Main and I have been working to try to make sure this is something that kids could pick up a mentor in 7th or 8th grade and carry that through to the high school. So we're working hard at trying to make sure that that mentorship works. Just in closing, thank you for all of your time and your support and for listening to me brag about the junior high because I love them and they're great, crazy kids. But if you have any questions for us, we are happy.
Yeah.
So it's probably a question, but did I hear correctly that ELA for 1 hour entire?
Yes.
They used to be an hour and a half every other day. And so we are now at an hour a day for the entire week.
Do we not have on our contract with the teachers block scheduling for the junior high as well as the high school, or is it just high school?
So the contract for the junior high school outlines
You find some.
that either more accommodation of. However, the faculty voted on the schedule, so it's something that we really want.
So, correct. I just want to better understand the block schedule. What's the or? It's not block scheduling. What's some hybrid kind of thing?
We actually have both. So the ELA math classes run for an hour every day, and the science and social studies classes are on a block schedule where they have a larger block of time that they meet every other day. In past years, every course ran for a longer block of time every other day. So it was an hour and a half every other day. So basically increased to an hour every day. So we added 36, either 60 or 90 minutes. So an average of 75 minutes per week of ELA instruction and 75 minutes per week of math instruction to the schedule. Because those are the key areas, those are the areas that we tested, those are the areas where we had identified some gaps based on what's happened over the past couple of years. And we did, as I reported, we did use some of the COVID relief money to help staff the schools and make that happen.
We've always had some combination because my specialists have always met every day for 45 minutes. And so there's been always some combination of block. And as we update, the faculty works with us on what the schedule should look like. And so they do take a vote within the parameters of the contract. So we still meet the minutes within the contract. It just looks a little bit different.
Sure. It's the only means that we have for mentioning data. So are you tracking it beyond podcast?
Yes, so we have iReady data, and the data that the math teams tracked this year was just a little formative assessment that they had created as their action plan to improve broadcast, because it was a small assessment that was giving the kids practice with what a broadcast question looks like in the content that they were currently studying. So we track data from anything. We've tracked iReady data, which the kids get 3 times a year. That's a standard assessment.
And have you seen the benefit?
Yeah, the iReady data looks good too.
Sorry.
Oh, well, our iReady
So far,
data
yes.
is good.
We'll keep monitoring it, but the other data is using the ELA program. They have what are called new read assessments and some questions that they do. So that's one of the data points that the ELA team used for their action plan to kind of look through that and see what kind of instruction and how often they could get some of that data in, just to make sure that there's improvement, not just overall improvement, but also in working on closing that gap between special ed and regular ed.
So I was reading in Dr. Kern's update about the requirements for the teams and for the format. Is that's primarily what's informing your decision to either in curriculum for next year?
Yes, yep, yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. My son is in school, but my friends have to class at junior high, and they specifically kind of pulled me aside for a conversation and how and that they really increase their math skills, and that specifically the teachers are connecting with parents, so there's a nice strong family connection, so that somebody getting that can want to support them. I just wanted to share that. Yeah.
They really are. It's there's a new energy, a couple of younger teachers, and there's a new energy, and they're very excited about it. And they do work really hard trying to make those connections, not just with the kids, but then reaching out to the families if the kids are struggling, because we know that there are kids, there's gaps. Last year was tough. This year's 8th grade has had a rough junior high experience. They've only get 2 years here, and coming in 7th grade and a hybrid and mask and every other day and all that kind of stuff. And so when they had their first dance, you would have thought I gave them each $1 million. They were so happy. So they begged for another one. I said, find someone to sponsor it, and they did. So we got 2 more before the end of the year.
And I'll say too that in the summer, last summer, before we reopened, I'm sorry, I'm standing up when I sit down.
You need your sunglasses or advice.
So in the summer, we had another woman that teaches at that was part of the same program. She came as well. We spent a lot of time really looking at not just the academic data, but we have access to lots of different things. We kind of identified what are the areas of need for our school district, and then how does that break down by school, right? Because not every school is starting at the same place. So it looked really nice on paper, and it still looks really nice on paper. But what the junior high has done is they've taken that plan that we talked about and they've turned it into action. And I've seen a lot of ownership, a lot of great discussion, and I think we can constantly are looking at where are we, what can we do different, and how do we make adjustments. Not that I'm waiting for next summer's retreat. They're making those adjustments through regular cycles of review. And yes, academic testing is important. Here, that they're also focusing on social emotional, which isn't about just the school psychologist, but what are the opportunities for kids? How do we engage that differently? How do we provide different opportunities for interaction? That's buddies program, right? So really well around the presentation. And I just keep thinking it is our strategic plan and our goals that we bring in action. Pretty awesome. So thanks.
One of the nice things of having Amy being here and doing a lot of data focus is one of the things we've tried to stress is that this isn't something different. This is what you should be doing all the time. And so while she did a lot of focus with the math department so now just like let's review, I tended to focus with the ELA department because they had a new curriculum. And so we would look through it, and our goal was to really do the curriculum with fidelity and really go through it this first year as best we could, but also look at what information are we getting. And at first they would look at a big picture thing and they're like, but that doesn't tell me anything. And that's where we started, and just having those collegial conversations and making that a part of every meeting and a part of all the time, of just being able to say, how's this group of kids doing in your class, and how is this group of kids doing, and how did that test work out? It's a new test, it's a new curriculum, we haven't used it before. And then trying to see what are the areas kids were struggling and where were they finding some success, and where were we persevered through it a couple of times, and now they're getting it, and now they're feeling more comfortable with it. So really just trying to show how that constant conversation and bringing it back to the data and looking at it. The 2 younger math teachers I'd like attached at the hip at all times, but they're adorable, and they're always talking about curriculum planning, what's the next thing. And they also said because we keep talking about data and it's at every faculty meeting, it's at every CPT, it's at everything they need to do, instead of just planning, they're planning with intention. They're looking at it and not just saying, oh, that lesson didn't feel great when I explained it, or what didn't they get? What part of it are we struggling with? And so really just trying to turn that data to really making it purposeful and intentional. So that's been our goal with the data this year, is really trying to turn it into something that is natural and happens, but is intentional at the same time, if that makes sense.
Nice well-rounded presentation. That's a lot. And so excellent job. I'm all proud of all of us. And we love you guys.
I know. Very lucky.
I'm lucky to have
I
you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And my favorite member is to be here to travel to work, which you want to share that with my parents, that she's
Thank you.
Just tell you that I am texting. One of our new employees is working. So yeah. Okay, under consent, we have the approval of regular meeting minutes from April 26th. We have several personnel items, including some new hires. One of our new hires is custodian. We'll be walking in shortly and I'll introduce him. I have a couple of words to say about him because I know him. I didn't know that he was hired. We have a leave of absence request. We also have some resignations, some for the purpose of retirement, a job share proposal for approval, and our monthly bills.
Sure.
Two decades. And yeah, he, I think he's been going back and forth and made the decision. So we will be posting that position shortly. That is an administrative position, a central office administrative position. So we have a policy that will require school committee involvement in the process from selection to replacement, so I'll be reaching out and for a volunteer to serve on that committee to replace, because, you know, there's not much time between now and the end of this year. So where would you Nice.
I did not know we hire and that when it actually really
That was one of the hard to fill positions. Special education certified organization. She's coming from another district. Find somebody or go corrections this year for that certification. And so she's a resident. She's committed to this community. I don't know if you want to appoint first and then I'll say. Okay, so can I introduce, we have in the audience Chris Chambers, he's actually working tonight.
Yes, work right now.
Working, that's why I was texting to get him in here, so I can, he's a new, second shift custodian at the high school. And, Mr. Bailey is the one that conducted the interviews with his team, and then I saw the name, and I thought to myself, I knew somebody with that name a while back. So Chris was in my class in middle school, the year that I student taught. I know he looks my age, but I'm like 20 years old. But so I don't really know him that well, but I knew him about 33 years. Yeah. And we just met in the parking lot. I said, "Are you Chris?" So we reacquainted, but that's our connection. It's official, you're right.
Thank you.
I do that to work.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And by the way, the guy that came in with it, I was his assistant principal.
But, oh, farm. But there's I'm sorry about that. You asked. What? Oh. Oh, okay, so your vote should reflect consistently 5-0. Get it 6-0 in two places, 1-5-0. So it's bad. 5-0. I'm talking about the legal minutes, right? The votes. The consent agenda should reflect a 5-0 vote. There are 2 people, it's only 7. Right, rather. Thank you. In 2 places.
We'll have that adjusted and go back in the schedule for the next meeting.
Right.
So you're ready to do the place, I think. That was because it was set. That was set to blur my background, so it really didn't know how to handle that. I sent you some passwords and stuff. So.
Just go through everything at this point. So looks like you did, right?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah. And that one is part of the conversation about there. You know, one of the things
think that it's all that anymore, but we will have SRO next year. I think it's probably the next point that starting from the police department. I did go to the West Greenwich Police Department 2 weeks ago with chief and the interview candidates for the position, talk a lot about how to expand that role so that it is going to reach other school buildings in a different way. And this is obviously a big issue right now. And those kids are 1 year away from being in this building, and we are just open up the eyes of people to say, this is something we should do. So I think that there are some changes that will allow these conversations to happen. What that position looks like in our district. We are going to be needed over the summer. We'll also come into as a meeting with us so that we can talk through need and how we can support the district as a whole in a way that's different from what we expect. It's funny that you should say that because this is a conversation that we had. And I can't hear everything right now. So where are we?
Correspondence.
Oh. So this is the report that Bob produces on a monthly basis. You can see the change from his previous report. We're not anticipating any difference in terms of expected revenue. And then as we get closer to the end of the year, we're starting to really hone in on exactly what the expenses will be and where some savings will be. We are still projecting to end the year at just under $800,000 in unassigned general fund balance. And that is in addition to what we are required to set aside for school committee policy of 2%. And that is also in addition to what the school committee has assigned as part of the 2023 budget. So once we take out the money that's been assigned for the budget, once we take out the money that we are required to take out as 2% set aside, we are still looking at just under $800,000 in unassigned fund balance for us going forward. So we remain in a good place. No big surprises over the last month.
I don't know where it is, but are those Motorola phones online?
So the phones have arrived. I spoke with the chief when I went over to see him for the interviews, and they're not online because they still have to be programmed, and we have to have the training, which we're in the process of scheduling, so that should happen first.
Is it fair to say that by 40 end of the year?
Yeah. Yes.
Purchase.
I think we purchased. Do you remember, Gary?
It's 8 or 9. I don't remember off the top of my head.
My understanding is that they're going to distribute it
Correct.
as well as get.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear that done with all this. Who is going to get it? Is it you? Are you going to be the person that's going to be carrying on or something like that? Or you don't feel that's necessary? Is there a word that any fault comes over? It's always going to have that. Because I get the impression on the other 40 years. Just all.
However, the administrators that will have that are not stationary. So the idea is that they will always have it available in the event that they're needed. If I'm in my office, I'll take it off. But if I leave my office, I'll take it. So we'll have two at the office, right? Because when I leave my office, I leave the building. I always want to have something available at each building. So at least with the administrators at the individual schools, in their office, they typically are in the building. So the, the purpose is to have them with them at all times. So there's, then what else?
Athletic.
The athletic director, I did talk to the chief about that because originally we were told they could only be utilized by administrators, but I got permission for our athletic director because he has a supervisor role and he is often here after hours when administration is not. So he is
In case there's an event. Correct. Okay. I'll probably ask the question. What?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
And I also want to say, I know I produced my status report. I wish I had known this piece of information before I produced it, but it's an opportunity for me to say this out loud. You met Amy visually at the last meeting because her kids are traveling to Texas for the wind turbine competition. And that was based upon how the students from West Greenwich performed in last year's state competition. Well, the state competition happened last week. And the Exeter West Greenwich High School teams placed first and second in the state. So we're looking forward to the results of the national competition. I think they're super excited. It's really incredible. So I want you to. Yeah, I was having a meeting. I actually read a meeting this morning, and the Department of Health gave an update, and that is a trend that is happening across the whole state. But they're also talking about the possibility of a new surge. So it's something that we need to pay attention to. We are not different than what we're seeing across the state. So I included the packet, the email from Dr. Hearn, who is here. We are going to be implementing the Ela Curriculum at the elementary level for next year. And
Yeah.
later in the agenda, but whatever the program is that is selected.
Well, we're gonna just pick this up at the end.
Really need to make
And
sure
hit
that
stop.
all materials in the hands of teachers where they need for some break.
Let me know when you want to do that.
And we are looking to schedule time with.
You're driving. I'll be in the
vendors
passenger
so that they can work with our teachers to understand all the materials that are available, so that we're not having a teacher piloted. So for some of these teachers who will be the first time that they're actually working through these materials. So in order for us to do that, we really don't have time in our calendar. But we are looking for approval of an early release day, additional early release day in June, so that we can get them here with our teachers, so they understand the materials that they have, and they be prepared to start the school year next year. I did look at some calendars from other districts. They utilized more days than we did, that the state gave us, that we could use for like asynchronous learning days. We did not use as many as what the state gave us. And we also have fewer half-day early releases in our calendar than several of us are. So I don't think that this is really out of the question, but we brainstormed a ton of different ideas about how to find the time. It's just not existing because of the science community training that allows us to do that. So that's really, I asked you to put something together so that you can see the revised calendar that is on June 8th. That's the only change that's occurred for this year's calendar. Will be from early release for K-12, and it has to be full school because of cost.
We had talked about these slight technical legal between two citations in the resolution, which is like subsection F, not sort of just within this section, subsection F. So subsection F being the same with respect to specific law that we're talking about here. It's subsection F.
I was just noticing, since this would also require the signature of the school committee clerk who is not here, we can just make that adjustment, vote on the resolution. If you want to, we'll make the adjustment and or sometime between if chair out clerk, which returns to the sign.
Make a motion to adopt the resolution with the change of the tab. All those in favor? Next, we adopt the report on
Do you want to say, let's see.
because it's junior high school basic floor.
Yeah, so after the agenda was posted, we got an update and I sent that to the committee. That was really what we expected. So for people that are not aware, the gym floor is a rubberized floor. And there was an incident that occurred in New Jersey that raised concern about rubberized flooring, gymnasium flooring, and mercury, which is used in the major issues have occurred with doors that were put in the 70s and 80s. Our floor was put in 90. And so the conversations that we had when this was raised indicated that likely it was that yes, it would be mercury, but because of the date in which the floor was put in, after which they made changes to the way the floor was constructed, that we wouldn't have aerosolization of the mercury, which was a concern that was raised in the jurisdictions. I know that information was shared, and some people were concerned. But we were in the process of having it tested. The results came back. It's exactly what we were told. People like the outcome. There's no aerosolization. And our next step is just again to be super safe, is to test the concrete under the flooring, just to be sure that it has to escape down, which is more unlikely than the aerosolization. So we're trying to be super comprehensive in our review, just to make sure that we're good. And as you know, the replacement of the junior high gym floor is part of our capital project. And so the fact that it contains mercury means that there can be very precise in the specs for the job, because the removal of that floor will need to be specialized because there's mercury. But really good news that the concern that was raised is not a concern at this point. Around testing, we don't anticipate being problematic or want to have that good on all levels. The testing that we're doing is normally so posted on that, but so far so good.
Question. As far as when this summer, you're going to remove it, replace, what?
Remove and replace, likely with the wood. Or like that's part of the discussion of the committee. Yeah, I would like to stay away from it in that we could potentially take some the basic discussions. That's my personal opinion, but we'll see what happens.
You said that until this part program, so it's all buttoned into the summer. Okay.
Yes, I am not sure if it will cost a little bit more than what we anticipated for removal based on what we've discovered. But that will be an additional cost because it is part of the original project. So
Thank you.
So we've had, this is provided by Bob, he's given me the explanation and some background. This is the project manager that we've been working with, and it's been a successful collaboration. So we're just going to continue with that same person as we move forward with the rest of the projects throughout the summer. And remember that we are required to have for regulations and we don't have to go again in front of the state.
So I spoken with Mrs. Lamont and I had a couple of meetings about the need for an inclusive audience. The need for U.S. history textbook in the high school, and you can see in the write-up, it currently has stuff that's all in July, stuff here, and the books are starting to fall apart. So Mrs. Lamont has done a fantastic job of phasing in replacement textbooks over several years to minimize the financial impact to the district. And her history department also did a very thorough, intensive job of looking at 5 different textbooks. They piloted a couple of them, they looked at the online sources, and the book that they finally settled on, when I talked with Mrs. Wilmot, there are a couple of things that, of course, they know the content much better than I do. But I thought from a curriculum perspective is making sure that the materials are rigorous or provide scaffolds for our students who need it, and to also look at the online content that's available to students, because it's important that our students are consumers of online documents, as well as looking at the hard copy history textbook in front of them. So they have fulfilled all of the requirements that I talked about, and the process was extensive, and so I wholeheartedly support the request for this particular test.
And I know it's written, but it is budgeted for 2023. It is the budget that was adopted.
How much is it to purchase the for textbooks? Say that.
It would be about the same amount.
Versus your large one purchase.
Well, they're about $150 a text. You can get online resources for students for a 6-year license. So I didn't do that. That's great, but I think it's around $10,000 for
That's
them.
right, I think
So
about
about $10,000 for this year. We're not doing online text for all the classes, we're having a couple of classes piloting online to see if the teacher's trying to produce those materials, it doesn't make sense for us to buy those licenses. So some of the members of the department are very interested in using those. Some are less interested, and I've already secured some training from the publishing company. She wanted to charge us $1,500, but I said, well, I'd like the training for free, she said, do that. So I think maybe the people who didn't get done might like it. So it's a little up in the air. That's why I can't give you an easy answer. But textbook alone, I think is about almost $100, and then it's like another $50 for the 6-year license, something like that.
Would you prefer that the 11 free textbooks get purchased at the school of Bible?
I'm sorry, what?
We have a good budget, it's 100, and what do we have to purchase all the books, so the 11 free travel also?
I hadn't really considered that, but yeah, I guess that would be better. I mean, we could have it all. Why not? Sure, I feel like this while we're almost in tight budget, so I was like, how can we move a bit slowly and not make it spend? But yeah,
I think our budget is fine. It's for the benefit of the children, they have textbooks in our state. So,
yeah,
I just don't know. Would you think that?
Yeah, I mean, right now, we are still working on closing the gap between the budget for 2023 that exists in the system and the amount that was approved by the school committee of close. Because remember that what's in the system is not what I would call for, because we anticipated that there were potential savings in a number of areas. So we listed out all those potential savings, and then we basically said, if 50% of those things come true, then I can reduce the ask by X amount of money. We are really close to hitting that target right now, which is exactly what we expected to happen. So I can't promise that I have the flexibility in the budget as it was produced for 2023. Maybe we will eventually consider it plays out, but we also have the unassigned fund balance as well, that could be certainly could be utilized. That's something that wants to talk about and do that. And all that will do is just move the request from next year's budget cycle, which is fine.
We have a conversation about that. So the wins for the benefit of kids, I mean, it's 10,000 for the volunteer, 50,000 else, so it's still out there. It's still out there.
I'll just report a little bit, so I'm not yelling across the room. I mean, we can sort of hold and I can put in, I can request, you know, them to give me a, quote, thank you, a quote, I can request a quote, and then when Jim figures out, you know, how the budget is playing out, we can always get them, and even if we have to integrate them a little bit into the year, I mean, I can't order anything until July, or it's extending over. So, I mean, I'll request a quote for the extra amount, and then we can see, I have to look at how many schools are in the 11th grade. So I can't, you know, then I'll have more data to work with. That's fine.
Yeah, perfect.
Actually, do you know for the online resources, are they using Connect?
I can't remember, I think it is Connect. I looked at so many different online resources, I can't quite remember, but I like.
Just FYI, it's trying to use at the university level, especially freshman and sophomore. So having students learn how to use those resources, they're amazing as far as they can outline the text, that would create study materials for them. So teaching them how to use those and, you know, their junior, senior year will really benefit them for their heading for college. And it's not just for history, it's for all of the curriculum that the problem right for.
Yeah, I like the online text, and I haven't used the Broad Hill online text platform, but I have used other ones. My cycle has one. I thought it was great. So I didn't need some of that, so my department didn't want to, but I think once they see the presentation of it, not all of them vetted all of the online resources as thoroughly as I did. It's not the chair of the department, so they looked at it. They vetted the book itself very thoroughly, but the online resources, I thought it was fantastic. So, you know, I would support all of us getting the online resources if they want them, and you know, we'll have to see how they do.
They often come with different tangible additions like videos.
Yeah, they are. They're integrated right into the text. So if the kids will be reading some text, you can integrate some questions. Then there'll be a little video clip that they see. Then so it's really cool. That's just a whole step of what we used to have. Yeah, they're really. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the adoption of the United States History law.
Yeah, so I think if I was going to do some work in terms of getting quotes, so we know what numbers that we're dealing with, and then as we continue to solidify the budget and see if there's some flexibility to add it, or we can bring it to the committee for approval. If I can build it in, I will. It's something they want to do. We can vote on it. Again, you know, the benefit there is we know that the expense is coming, and it just pulls the expense out of the request for the budget.
Thank you, by the way, I was so taken aback that I was being offered what I asked for, I didn't even know how to approach it. What? Wait a minute, what do you want to do? So anyway, thank you, I really appreciate it, the kids will benefit from it, and, we're all going to get trained on it. I haven't set up a date, I have to look at our calendar for next year, but I assume right at the beginning here, all of us do it online, sometimes my department just need the summer, and just do it for fun, I know that's not fun, but we come for us. So, we'll be all part of that, thank you. Thank you.
So I did send information to the committee electronically, and I want to be really upfront about this because whatever decision is made, or whatever decision we could potentially put forward, is going to be problematic for one group of teachers or another. So I didn't want to come to this committee with a recommendation and just paint this picture that we have 100% approval either way, because we don't. So I wanted to spell out what the differences of opinions were, what the values, what the benefits are, what the challenges are. So Marie, obviously as a curriculum director, was responsible for coordinating the pilot. The pilot was for 2 different programs. Both are aligned to the RIDE regulations around high-quality curriculum material. Both have been implemented in several other communities, which I've listed for you. So, for example, the Ela Curriculum is in Barrington, Coventry, East Greenwich, and others. There's the Warren Chapter and others have implemented other programs in reading. We've communicated with representatives from both from towns on both of those programs. All the feedback from the other towns is positive, regardless of whether it's a program. Whatever they've implemented, they both want. We've heard feedback from our teachers, and again, just to put it out there, concern from Mecca has selected. We're going to go out with EL for Mecca. Those are the tested grades. Grade 6 are tested at the elementary school. Grade 6 is part of the middle school program, the EL program. But 2 through 5 has selected EL, and we're super comfortable with that. Well, took this responsibility very seriously. I have met, Maria's met with them throughout the entire year. I've met with them multiple times even over the last couple of weeks just to understand their perspective. And as I said to them, some of their concerns, we've spoken with other districts, and we've spoken with the vendor, and there is a difference of opinion. But regardless, what they have selected is also a good program. The issue is that if we go with what they want, which is different than what that wants, then we do not have program alignment from K through 5. That's one of the things that we said that we wanted to have as we produce this kind of program. It means that we need to really work on the transition between Wallowwood and Metcalf because it will be smooth. The programs are quite different in the way that instruction happens. And so the kids will be developing classroom routines at Wallowwood, and then we started over with the classroom routines and instruction practices will be different. The Metcalf folks really want there to be alignment because they want the kids to come in prepared to go on day 1. Because again, they're coming grade 2, the testing begins in grade 3. They don't want there to be gaps as they have previously existed, so that the kids can get as good as possible. So while folks have selected different programs, and so if we go with what MedCat wants, then you have the issue of the law teachers not having full buy-in because it's not the program. So it's a dilemma. And again, they want to come and they want me to come and say everything is wonderful. This is what we have to present, and please follow what is good. Well, because if there's a group that feels that their concerns were not expressed, and we held back on what those concerns were, then they would find a way to get that information to you, and we would be revisiting the conversation after the fact. I'd rather put it on the table right up front so we can have the conversation. And if there's preference or desire or community from one direction or the other, then just save the added steps of Excel. This conversation all over again. We need to make decisions about the materials, just schedule the day for 8, I think, which is a half day. So, there's a time limitation here. I think it boils down to what's the preference, alignment or love. And whatever we decide is going to make one group and not the other. So it's a dilemma that we share now. And I'm waiting for feedback and discussion. So if you look at that document that I sent out, where it says EWG pilot notes, Wallowing feels that foundational and vocabulary skills and activities are not as strong as they are in the other program. There is also more preparation time that is needed, and the materials to that are not as strong. Those are the three main concerns that we heard, and also because all of our teachers are studying the science and reading, it's a lot of work, but it's been valuable. They pay a lot of attention to what they're learning, the science of reading, and the programs that they will review. And because they felt that the foundation skills were not as strong, they therefore felt that it wasn't as strongly connected to what they're learning in science of reading. We specifically asked that question of the districts that we spoke with. We set up a meeting with Coventry, with the superintendent, some encourages mentors, because they've been doing that for at least a couple of years. So that we could address some of those concerns. They figured out how to embed the foundational skills. But it wasn't something that probably teachers felt as comfortable. So they're concerned about the science of reading because they feel the foundational skills are not as well. Vocabulary skills. That's what they have interviewed the program. And they should. They were talking about other programs with good materials, but we've heard feedback from the vendor and from the mentors that they were figured out and it's been successful. So there's conflicting information that's out there.
I would just add too, if you look at format, the interreading is a more traditional approach, and I think that's something that teachers feel comfortable with.
I noticed that format also go on the integrate kind of study, and that's how they look at it involved with the real from parents.
So with the EL, they use EL as a knowledge-based program that uses science and literature. And one of the things that we're weak on in our district is reading informational text and writing informational text. So in the grade 6 to 8 program is also a knowledge building program that uses some 10th grade maybe case study from location for the content knowledge, and then they use literature books, you know, as a way to teach the literature. In 8th grade, for example, we witnessed, and they also did talking about World War II. So there are literature units as well as these nonfiction units, which get what districts reported to us, it gets big.
So, observation. Jim, I feel for your dilemma. You have two factions, teachers, one is trying to something certain. But I'm also looking at duties of the superintendent versus the duties of the school committees by law. Under the superintendent, it says the implementation of policies established by the school committee and the superintendent share policy, but implementation appears to be involved by the superintendent. That's not us. So I would have thought the traditional track would be you do the implementation, you select it. And if it's a grievance, right, from either group, be it the med or law, they would read it to the school. So you take a shot at, you know, bringing the two teams together, make a decision, and if they feel strongly enough, right, if there's needs to, they would read it to the school committee. So right now, I would rather go with the traditional method of resolving potential bumps in the road. This is fairly wide. And it also appears to be a line of thought, you know, getting the eyes from people there. Nick, you want to take this? I have both laws, it's both for superintendents and school committees. But to be honest with you, policy is developed by both the superintendent and the school committee. And implementation is owned by the superintendent. So I'd like us to go with that, and that teachers would have the means of reading and an alternative to say, okay, it didn't work for us, we're going to be forced to come to the school committee. This is why, as opposed to them not. So if you read it after you're before the committee and talk to this person through this process, because they felt that your selection, it's based on our selection, your selection doesn't work.
So I 100% agree. But we've been down this road before where a decision is made and then it ends up back at this level and it can be contentious. What I don't want to do is spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to have the topic brought back to this group. And then this group says, well, based on what we've heard, we want to go in a different direction, because then we have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, no, I get that, but
I just want to be 100%.
yeah, well, that would be part of, right, that would be part of your dialogue with the teachers to say, look, I mean, you have a right to read this, right? And they do, even if we agree to vote on this, I think we put ourselves in a compromised state by not allowing them to read and vote on it. But if we go the traditional method where you decide, but prior to the expenditure, you reach out to them and say, look, we expect you guys, and I understand the whole idea of your superintendent, and there may be some trepidation on their part. That's why they have building representatives to come to us prior to the expenditure and say, I have a grievance, I'd like to come to the committee. Common person, as a group.
So I'm just going to say this. This would be a situation that would be a grievance. There's no contract violation that's occurred. We had the contract spells out the pilot program, when that should happen, all of those things occur. It has nothing to do with contractual agreements. This is just a decision is going to be made that one of them is happy with. And so wouldn't be agreements. It would just be, you know, the information is going to surface back up. And I want to also have that info ahead of time before a decision is made. If you say, make the decision and we'll support you, then we'll make the decision. And but you can also want to share your opinion so that we can incorporate that into our decision. I just didn't want to hide from you that it is going to be controversial.
Sure, I appreciate that. My only thing is that all of a sudden, you said the decision by the superintendent's office of X, that may motivate them from before the committee, which they have. You say, this is our city position, and they have a stronger legitimate position that the membership of the committee would be interested in. Certainly, I would be interested in seeing what their interpretation or hesitation is. So I'm a little hesitant. I'm not up to Eastern education. I'm computer science, right? Statistics. So I'm not an educator. I don't know who I am making a decision on education. I don't know, with the exception of one, perhaps. Anybody else here that may major in education? My inclination is that by law, they would have comments to be made, or the chair may consult with me at this time. It appears that it's kind of an ownership issue.
So all I'm saying is both programs meet the qualifications to make up
Sure, I
high quality. So, you know, one way or the other, it's going to be fine, but the program itself is going to be
you know, you don't want to ignore them. They actually have to do it. They may have some legitimate concerns, and I would love to refer them to other concerns.
and if that's the direction, we'll make a decision, and if we come before the committee, what I don't want is for the committee to say, I agree with those concerns, and we have to move in a different direction, and then we have to spend money that we just spent on the program. I mean, if that's what we want to do, that's fine, but I don't want to not tell you up front that that's potential. If I think this will use that against me. If I said, oh, we want these materials, now we have to.
Yeah, I understand. We all
Fully aware of what.
But my concern is, one, by law, and friends, it appears that implementation is only by the superintendent's office of policies that are identified by the school. I'm sure Oz are just general, as like bullet years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, can we give it another round here? Document again? Because,
I mean, I'm not, their minds are not changing.
but
That guy has chosen,
change ours.
all of them has chosen. Both programs are good programs. I've identified the challenges as they were reported to me by each of the different groups. We can make a decision, just tell me, we're going to make one group not happy. And then I learned about it. So they're talking about it, will likely end up, the information will end up back in this group, and I want to aware of that. You want me to make a decision?
I think that decision that you have, that's decided by the committee, as to whether or not they want to participate. Personally, so I would rather not participate in the decision. You know, I'm not an educator by any stretch of the imagination, right? Get better about that. I prefer to do that.
But I think the dilemma is not about the educational value of the two programs. The two programs have already embedded in their good programs. Issue is what's the priority? Teacher buy-in, alignment. That's it. And we and I can make a decision. I just want you to know what's happening. And I'm hoping that knowing that we're going to make one group not happy with the other, that you would support us. If that's okay.
Yes, yes, yes. The science of reading is is strong in both programs.
I know the one is I don't teach you more about this. I was a better line. So if we go into the program, one of the more powerful, over that secretary, where I'm going to learn as well. English and freedom areas, science. And then we're also going to be having to work. So anyway, I use it for some especially young children. The program too seems that it's more privacy. I think it's been a few years since we should all be going for privacy. I think that's the direction. So that should be something new for the teachers. I don't know if you could talk to some folks, but we want to so that shouldn't be but I think I think the banking and I keep saying I respect our teachers, if I would do that, I certainly respect our teachers, in favor and but I do also use that business stuff up. Because the children. We have one more.
Okay, well, the teacher wants to modify. Seems like they're backwards.
Yeah, so there are lots of time that are built into the, we're talking about there are skills blocks that are part of the program. And during the skills blocks is when a lot of those traditional type activities are occurring, even in the code. But they just like the way that they've done in other programs better. But we also know that there are schools that have implemented and we learned a lot from schools that we have, for example, teachers here, and they're getting connections, right? So we don't have to build everything from scratch, but it will take that time for them. Just in general, because the approach to that program is different than what they think. And I think in their experience, you highlight the skills block, which is what we're talking about, not as developed as they would like. So, would they need time? Yes. Will they need to report? Yes. I think that's true for both programs. We've actually talked a lot about and we would want some support. We surveyed the teachers to find out what type of support that they want to provide that for them. So
the skills block is presented less traditionally. So it's not that it's presented in a different way. And I think that's what has been learned because it's not traditional. So there are not goals built in either curriculum. I think it's more about the approach, whether it's one is more comfortable for teachers. That makes sense. I get that. To build upon what Jim was saying, choosing a program is really it's a dilemma for us, but it's really an easy step because the next piece is about supporting teachers in implementation and having a strong implementation plan. And that is something that we have surveyed the teachers, and ask them, what do you want? What would make the most sense to you and help you best in terms of an implementation plan? And we have that from teachers. And so we will be using that information from teachers to work with the vendor to provide that support.
Either.
Just curious, the teacher, I asked for the list of the guys, and they're very reputable teachers at both schools, or both. Very effective. So, hearing that they feel grounding in a different direction, I think that's where I go, because I don't think we can afford to stumble trying to adapt something that you're not comfortable with, you don't know, you don't have time to implement and say, unfortunately, that is really been rewarded back to that delayed focus. So I think that's my, this is tough, I was struggled with this personally today. Information, and I just wonder if there's a way to accommodate the well-being teachers' concerns, I think finding a way to take them more time, activities, and that they can dedicate to them so they're not doing so. It's always hard to get outside of the comfort zone, and I think as teachers, I have to know. And so asking them to do something that they don't feel comfortable with, I empathize with that. I also agree with Martin, it's very important.
I'm just curious, I sat on the committee for 9 years, we've always, as a committee, approved the material and the curriculum. What is the policy of the school committee as far as doing that? Another school committee across the state approved the curriculum and materials. So I don't know, we're talking about an implementation versus policy development. I think we already have a policy, and I think the decision resides based upon history of learning with the school committee. Just my point of view. That's right.
Yeah,
You guys approved the curriculum for us. Yeah.
For us, with a collectively agreed upon position on how to move forward. This is slightly different in that our policies are very general, again, but they're saying you pick. That's different. I think this is the first time since I've been serving since 2002 where they said, it's your choice. My position is implementation is owned by the superintendent's office. Policy, right? I mean, like I said, we own policy as is curriculum. Certainly I think the PhDs in education and masters in education on that side of the table by far and away outrank our backgrounds. And so that's where I think it belongs. So if it comes before us and says, that's my decision, then I'll say, sure, okay, I'll vote for that, sure. Right here, slightly different. So
I think this we have to say consistent law. Because ultimately, I think it is the school to make this decision, but it is up to the superintendent's guidance or directive, but to make a recommendation to the school committee. And as I heard, the superintendent's coming to you, saying, listen, a dilemma's coming your way. Somebody's not going to be happy with whatever I choose. So I want to let you know down the tracks. So it sounds like Jim, you're probably making a recommendation.
But I want to make sure
that's fine.
that I'm going to be supported in that decision one way or the other. Or if that decision ends up being something that you want to talk about and change based on what you hear, just understand we're going to be purchasing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of material, and if we make a change, after the fact, that's going to be an expense that's not budgeted for, and it's going to be problematic. So I just do not want to not be fully transparent about the challenge that is about to hit us. Because I don't want any, I don't want anybody to say, you can share that information with us, and now we're faced with the possibility of expense. This is why it's the first time that something like this has been brought to you, because I've never been in this position before. I just want to be transparent. So if you say, make a decision, we'll support you either way, you can say that, that you approve the recommendation of the superintendent and curriculum director, will just make the decisions, it will be one or the other, and I'm good with that. But I want you to know that you could potentially, as has happened before, hear from people about their dislike of the decision, and I don't want to be in a position where it's going to cost us community money, because I think for the expense. That's the purpose of putting it.
Sure. So is it, I guess, so we have two programs. Both are, I'll say both are recommended by us. They chose the pilot one, right? They're both approved programs. So I guess I looked at the financial piece and also training starts on June, right? So like you're looking for the summer and then material. Whatever the side, and then the financial side. So I guess what's the difference in us saying, okay, superintendent, go with alignment or go with, the program. What's the difference in that? And the recommendation for like, if they are recommending both programs, they
So it's, I mean, it's tough to say you recommend two, because in fact, if you recommend both, you recommend none. So my suggestion would be the general law says the obligation of the superintendent to recommend textbooks. So, and I think that's somewhat consistent with what Jim presented to us, saying, I have to make a decision, but there's going to be an issue with that decision. And I think, and I don't want to speak part of what I'm seeing here, that you want some input as to what the goals might be. Because ultimately making a decision, why would you do that in the dark or not? Is that, am I missing it there?
Yeah, and I don't want.
Community, we don't want to spend money without the right. People who guarantee all in September, and the children start working.
I mean, if I don't have the support of the committee, if you're at the end of the discussion, when it comes back to you, and it goes in the opposite direction of what my recommendation is. That's not good for me to hold that information back. I see this as a potential for, a train crash coming forward. And I just need to be transparent about all of that information. Because it is a dilemma, which I'm happy to make the decision.
But I think we need something that says we request
And I would be fine with that.
I think it's legitimate to get that. Sure. That, I already like that. We're going to keep that and then I'll get back to say this important. So, is there any more that
No, I think, we spent a lot of time talking about this, because it truly is a dilemma, and it was not a dilemma that I felt comfortable with holding, because the potential for this to be back in front of you, I don't want you to be able to back information or so on. How do we not know this? I mean, this is really the first time that I'm aware of where there's such a difference of opinion, and it's so strong in the direction that I can have a million more meetings and not changing anybody's mind. And it's not my job to change their mind. But I'm going to make decisions, I'm going to make one group unhappy and the other group happy. You just need to know that. And I want to make sure that that whatever decision I make, that I'm supported, that two programs are programs, it's ready, and approved, it's all good. But just know, you won't be happy.
What was your decision? What was your decision?
I didn't make one.
Oh, well, when you make a decision, why don't you come back to us?
Well, because the decision is going to be either PL or interview.
I think that, but
So I can make the decision tomorrow.
you could make that decision right now. But I mean, you know, if you said my decision is X, it'd be nice if you could knew what the decision was. I mean, that would be part of your apprehension.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want you to come back in September, the whole thing could have
The
been done.
problem I have is that I can remind you to I think to try it.
I'd also, yeah, there's also 5 grades at NetPath. One. So, I mean, I hate to put prejudice in there, but, you know, that's another matter. So for me, again, I'm kind of relying on the expertise. So if you say it's X, it's gonna be X for me. And if you say it's gonna be Y, then I'm gonna say it's Y for me too.
So if I ultimately, you guys are agreeing with the decision, I would just say, let's make the decision. You see the two options, they're both approved programs, we'll make the decision, I don't know what it is this week. But I would want to sit with the lead consultant and make sure on some page, I would want to sit with whichever school is not going to be happy with the decision and have that conversation.
And ultimately, you're making a recommendation to the school. Yeah, they could reject that based on whatever might come up that evening. So I think that's consistent with what you both agree. Put the heads together and then make your recommendation, and then the school can make free to do whatever they like.
So the issue with waiting is that we have to get over materials in time. So.
So it appears that I'm not.
So MetCat is tested grade levels. And they were, you know, it's obviously the majority of the teachers, and they were, with a couple of exceptions, pretty unanimous about that's the program. So it's pretty. Yeah.
More rigorous. That's really what to scale.
They felt it was more rigorous. The kids thought it was higher interest. I went into a couple of classrooms and the teacher said, tell me certain things what you thought of each of these programs. So it's as well. You know, it was pretty, that was a pretty easy decision.
Would you ever pay teachers to put their time in the corner?
Yes.
I intended that to have a training for them during the summer as well, and to pay them for that training.
Yeah, I feel like we need to be more. The other. All the things. Yeah, I feel like we want to.
And the truth is that the feedback that from the schools that we talked to had really positive things to say about whichever program you use for implementation. I don't think we can go wrong in terms of quality. It's just a difference, and you need to be aware. And I don't want it to come back and then we have to make a decision. You know, I mean, I think the METCAP recommendation is solid, and I would prefer if you said that you would approve either EL or intermediate because they're both programs that are met all the criteria, and that we'll consult and I'll talk to the school that's going to use that and make that decision this week. I want you to be aware of this, but feel that we need to be. I would like to know that I'm supported in that decision in the event that it comes back. So I don't want to waste money. If I really share that information with you and get it up, we're wasting the community's money, that would be our actual process.
You're basically going selection of Metcalf, which is basically being used by Barrington, East Greenwich, Coventry. Is that not correct? Are they not? Is that not correct?
Barrington, Coventry, Cumberland, East Greenwich, and West.
That is the Metcalf selection.
Yes.
And the other one was Charo.
Bristol, Warren, Borough, Middletown. And obviously there are still districts that are in decision making.
So did you say East Greenwich, Barrington, and Coventry? And what was the other one?
Lincoln, Cumberland, Little Compton, and Western.
I'm going to be honest with you, Mr. Aronakis. I think you have to go with whatever your recommendation is. Metcalf, I think that's what we should do. I don't know if the other people do remember. I don't know if that's to your advantage that I make that statement, but you know, that's what we have to do. And also, I also like the company for keeping in those communities that are supporting the program that's looking like that as well. So we're more closely aligned demographic population to those groups. So that's my feeling. I'd be willing to come back in the next meeting and say, wait a minute, we made a mistake, we can change our minds, we can, based on your recommendation, that something's come to my attention, and I've changed my mind. This is it. I want you to be aware of that. But I don't hear anything here that doesn't prevent me from supporting Maria and Mr. Aronakis and their selection of the curriculum that's appropriate for the
Will follow the Metcalf was chosen. So that's great. I'm glad that you're aware of all of that information so that you're prepared and we'll make a decision this week. I'll share it with you. Both the direction that we're going and then moving back and focus on patients for summit materials and training. Thank you.
Important dates and meetings, Tuesday, May 24th, open meeting, Wednesday, May 8th, field meeting, Tuesday, May 21st.
Sorry about that. Unfinished business, 2022, 2022 school guidance.
So I put the cases in my status report and I shared with you that we're mirroring what's happening in the state. There's no other changes or recommendations that have come our way. Other than at this morning's meeting, they were really strong about kids who test positive or allowed to return after 5 days if they have no symptoms. they are strongly suggesting, recommending that the kids stay masked for days 6 through 10, which is what we have communicated out to all of our families. From the start. That's not been the case across the board. But here, saying why are we requiring kids to wear masks in certain states? That's the reason why kids are positive. A lot of them return. Even if there is dramatic days 6 through 10, that is the recommendation. So I don't think that there's an update since the last meeting that we had, and the next meeting of that interview obviously. So anybody that hasn't responded to the request for graduation, if you're attending graduation, you have to